I'm Danielle Moreau with the Moreau Real Estate Team, and
I'm Callum from Prime Mortgage Works at Dominion Lending Centers.
we're looking forward to showcasing our new video series with you, where we'll talk a little bit about the Victoria real estate market, about
mortgage pre-approvals,
and everything in between. So we want to introduce you to our first video.
Number one.
We're going to be talking a little bit about the pre-approval process, a little bit about what's happening in the market today, first-time home buyers,
Our favorite things in our respective jobs, and also let's talk about technology in both real estate and mortgages.
Yeah, so hope you enjoy and look forward to you tuning in to our other videos.
Check it out.
Callum, welcome.
Yes.
We've been wanting to do this for a very long time. We've worked together for many years now, and we're really excited to put something together. So I'm glad that we are here and doing it finally.
I'm excited to finally get this going, and we talked about it for a while now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, absolutely. So Danielle, you and I have worked together for, as you said, a number of years. But background-wise, how did you get started in real estate?
Yeah, so I've been a realtor here in Victoria now for 10 years. It's really flown by, I can't believe it. I joined my dad Blake 10 years ago now. He's been an agent for 30 years, basically since we moved to Victoria when I was 5. So work together as a father-daughter team. We work really well together. We enjoy working together. It's a great family business. Actually got my degree in human resources prior to doing real estate. Didn't enjoy the whole 9-to-5 office thing. Didn't enjoy the lack of flexibility really, and I never really thought about real estate when I was younger, even though my dad was an agent. Basically, he was just in town visiting me in Vancouver one weekend for the Grey Cup, and he said, how's your job in HR going? And I said, I just don't like it. I'm not enjoying it. I don't really like it. I'm not really sure what to do beyond this. Should I maybe go back to school, or I don't know, Dad, what should I do? And we were I remember in the car bouncing some ideas back and forth. And I said, what about real estate? And he said, well, I don't know if it's not for everyone. It's a really difficult business. It's hard to get started. It takes many years, that sort of thing. But he said, do the course. It'll cost you $1,000 or something like that. I can't remember how much it was at the time, but it was quite low. And so he said, do the course, see if you like it. If you don't, whatever. But if you do, then, carry on and see where it takes you, kind of thing. So I ended up really enjoying the course. I finished it over in Vancouver. I took my exam and obviously passed.
Sure.
And ended up moving back to Victoria to learn the ropes with him, thinking that I was actually going to go back to Vancouver. But I really liked working with my dad, and we didn't really have, I guess, a lot in common when I was younger, but we had this neat connection through real estate, and I really enjoyed working with him. So here we are now, 10 years later. So
wow,
yeah,
that's a wonderful story. I mean, as a father of a daughter, if my daughter came to me and said, Dad, let's go into I'd like to be in the mortgage business, after I got myself together and stopped crying about it,
yeah,
then I'd be so excited. Well, that's an amazing story, right? I mean, and that's so important to be able to find out what you like and what you love to do as a career, and sort of go on from there. So
absolutely. Yeah. And he has such a great reputation in Victoria between the public and his past clients and other agents. So what was really neat is when I joined him, the common theme was, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful that you're working with your dad. I love your dad. He's such a great guy and a great agent and everything like that. So I really climbed into something that was great. So
and you haven't looked back. It's been 10 years.
No. And maybe my kids one day will want to work with me. Who knows? That would be the dream, of course. So we'll see how that goes.
A third generation real estate family.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be something? Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
what about you?
I can attest that I don't think any of my kids will be in the business. They're doing their own thing, and that's totally fine. But myself, I've been in the mortgage industry, starting my career going way back as a bank teller, over 25 years now. So, truth of the matter is, I wasn't so good as a bank teller. At balancing. So my employer at the time said, where can we put him where he won't lose money? Right? So, because balancing at the end of the night wasn't my forte. and they literally put me in a desk to lend out money.
Okay,
Ironically enough, haven't lost money as far as I'm aware, so that's a good thing. But I've been in the mortgage industry, working for lenders, working for a short time, working for one of the mortgage insurance companies, instructing or teaching other brokers how to do their business. It became a matter of going, okay, if I'm going to work this hard, I really should be working for myself. So, the last few months of me working for a lender, paying attention as to what brokers did right and what they didn't do right. Taking good notes, right? And that was a matter of like, okay, let's go do this. And it's been almost 13 years brokering on my own, and I haven't looked back since. And I wouldn't change, like you, I wouldn't change a thing. I love working with people, love educating people on what they, what they don't know. Same as you, arguably making the largest purchase of their lifetime. It's so important to get it right the first time, because there's so many considerations. It's a life changer. It's not just the money aspect, but am I going to be happy in this place? And can I make these payments? Can I afford these payments? So, I joke, but I'm half serious when I talk to clients. I don't want to be the one to put you into something where you're eating craft dinner for the next 5 years. I don't want to be that guy. So it's so important for me to get it right and to get something where people feel it's affordable. Through the life of their mortgage, they're going to have different stops along the way, whether it's the first time condo, onto the house with the family, and then, even nowadays onto the house with the parents moving in, right? Always needing more space, or, depending on what their life looks at. So again, wouldn't look back, and just so happy to be in Victoria, which is an amazing city for real estate and obviously for mortgage finance at the same time.
Well, Victoria's obviously where it's at. We have so many people wanting to live here. A lot of people don't move away from Victoria. Probably the large majority who do move to Victoria from other cities come from Vancouver, Calgary, those larger cities all across Canada, really. What is it that you love about Victoria?
Yeah, I mean, and my experience is similar. A lot of people move here and never move away. Or if they do move away, they do so to get further in life and make some money, just get their careers going, with the eye that they always want to come back. And when they do come back, of course, there's a bit of a reality check again with the cost of living in Victoria. You kind of get what you pay for, because we have so many ideal things for so many people here. Whether it's we've got if it's a retirement community, we've got the military base, it's the capital city, lots of government jobs, academia and the universities, so many reasons that people want to be here. And the ecotourism, I mean, that's just blown up in the last 15, 20 years. Where else can you ski during the day, come down and golf the next day, and then head out to Port Renfrew or Tofino and enjoy everything that offers as well. So
yeah, go surfing.
Perfect storm, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect storm.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I mean, it's so timely to talk about affordability and how people get in, on a pre-approval basis. I know what my role is, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but people come to you. I know I refer my clients to you nonstop, because you're going so in depth on the real estate side. What are the first steps? And somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I want to be buying something." Where does it start with you?
Yeah, good question. So whether these clients contacting me come from friends or family or online, the first thing I always tell them is you have to get pre-approved for a mortgage. That's the best place to start, right? Is to speak with a mortgage professional who will set them up for a full pre-approval process, from gathering documents, answering questions, that sort of thing. So, us working together for the last few years has been fantastic, and you're always at the top of my list when it comes to sending people your way. Now, you'll be able to get into the pre-approval process in more depth than I. However, yeah, that's always the best first step, is to figure out a game plan in terms of your budget, what you're able to spend. And I always say that your mortgage broker will be able to walk you through what you can afford, what your payments will be, talk about purchasing a home versus a strata property, because those are obviously different types of purchases with different financial aspects to them, and yeah, first step. So maybe you want to talk a little bit more about what that process
Sure.
involves.
Yeah, and I talk about that process. The realtor piece is so important, but at the same side, so is the financing piece. It's a, for lack of a better term, it's a tag team, and it is a real true team place. And again, us working together for as long as we have, you and I have that traditional business relationship. We just enjoy working with each other. I trust you, and I know you can trust me that we're going to take care of those clients with all their questions and make sure that once they get to signing at the lawyers, which is at the 11th hour, it's 11:59 when they're signing at the lawyers, that they understand everything they're getting themselves into from what they're buying in the property and on the real estate side the financing side as well. And so what I do, I definitely do, and you can get pre-approved in 60 seconds. I don't know that I want to spend 60 seconds getting pre-approved or arguably my biggest financial decision is done in 60 seconds.
Right. And you're talking about like someone going online and
Yeah.
visiting a bank's website and
online.
get pre-approved in 60 seconds kind of thing.
Sure.
I know I always saw that and I was like, how?
Yeah, you see the bus ads
But
pre-approved in 60 seconds. Like, really? They capture all of that? Is it AI? Are they scraping your brain or something like that? But yeah, more so when I go through the pre-approval process with all my clients, I'm definitely way more in depth than 60 seconds. I want to get us to the point where all that's left for those clients to do is when I hand them back to you, it's on you now to find them the property. And with that, we take a full application. We do obtain 90% of the documents we're going to need up front. I want to know and want to affirm the numbers I'm looking at and working with respect to their income. Any future challenges, are they going off on a maternity leave? Not that that makes a big difference, but it's a consideration on a budget side of things. Where's the down payment coming from? Is it from their own resources? Is there a portion coming from gift? Are they even borrowing the down payment? All those pieces, the ingredients to bake the cake, if you will. And we get the cake, we're like the mixing bowl and put it all together. And then that way, when clients, when we're finished with the pre-approval piece, then as I said, I say it all the time to clients, the gates of the kingdom open up. It becomes a bit more reality-based because, okay, I can qualify for this. I can go out and do this. It's not just hypothetical anymore. So then when we hand off the ingredients back to you, they can go out and find exactly what they want, and they can. And I know you'll shave down sort of what they're looking for and what area and all those things. I mean, clients need to understand they can get all those data points, but I want them leaving the pre-approval process with the confidence. It's so important that they can take that next step. And again, it goes a tag back to you, and then you find them the right place. Yeah. And then it comes back to me as far as getting off to the closing and the contract. There's so many, it's absolutely a process, and so important to have experienced professionals all the way along.
So what sort of things are you asking from buyers? Like, are you asking for a T4 or
Sure.
an employment letter? Like, what sort of things are you asking
for? So it does depend on the nature of their employment, right? I mean, if they're straight salary, it's usually pretty easy to do so. A letter and a current pay stub, and we're pretty much off to the races. But at the same time, and there's a bit of a misnomer out there, well, what if I'm self-employed? It's going to be harder to get finance. That has not been my experience. There's more programs for self-employed people to get financed than there is salaried people to get financed, ironically enough. So it's just a matter of the understanding. And if you're self-employed, I'm asking usually for tax returns. And a lot of times I'll take a shortcut literally to the clients and say, give me the name of your accountant. And I'll contact the accountant directly with their consent, of course. And then that way we get straight to it, straight to the heart of the matter. I usually get that tax information in 20 minutes versus waiting for that letter of employment or pay stub on the on the salaried side. So it really depends. That's why it's important to be longer than 60 seconds and understand exactly with that application piece. And also maybe look at opportunities that they may not be aware of, as far as on the qualifying side, because it is so difficult to on the affordability side to qualify on the mortgage, whether it's price point or whether it's on the qualifying and meeting that mortgage stress test. It's just, there's so many different ingredients.
Good to know. Yeah. So I find with my buyers, once they have that pre-approval amount, that's like the exciting part, right?
Yeah.
They'll contact me and say, "Hey Danielle, we have our budget now and we're excited to get the process started." And I'll usually meet up with coffee for a coffee with them or have a chat on the phone. And what I do on my end is get them set up on an auto search portal through the back end of my MLS. And I always tell people like it's so exciting and you're gonna get so addicted to it because they get all the new listings each and every day. They can mark certain listings as favorites, which I can see on the back end of my program, which is really neat. So we can start the process of going through all the listings that are available, maybe getting out there and doing 1 or 2 tours just to get the lay of the land and kind of whittle down their wish list a little bit more. And then, yeah, usually, within a few weeks, hopefully, something great in their price point will pop up. We'll head down there, take a look, and then hopefully write an offer and work in conjunction with you. And yeah, the goal is really to make it seamless and easy.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So I got a question out of left field. What's your favorite part of your job?
I would say the people, honestly. Every day is different. Every type of personality is different. I'd say so many of my clients throughout the years I've really become friends with, and I get to know their whole family. It's really neat, helping a client and then they'll refer their parents to me and I'll maybe sell their house or a cousin and just meet like hundreds of people throughout the years, and so many great friendships have come with that. And it's just fun. Like it's just become a very fun business. The majority of the clients who I deal with are referrals from people I know,
Absolutely.
whether it's friends. Love working with my friends too. It's so rewarding. Like just sold a couple of my closest friends new homes. They've moved up in the market and it's just, yeah, really
Great.
exciting and fun. So
Yeah.
What about you?
Same for me. My favorite part of my role is certainly the connection, right? And helping them understand again what they need in the way of a mortgage. If they come to me and they say, "Listen, this is our place for the next 2 or 3 years," I'm not going to put you into a 5-year term. We're going to be far more strategic, and I think that's what a lot of clients have to understand is when it comes to borrowing large sums of money, and in Victoria they're large sums of money. It's better to understand where we're going, not just what's in front of us. Rate's important, absolutely, it's important, but not if you're going to forego a term and condition that's either going to make it way more expensive to get out of that mortgage, or it's going to restrict you from meeting your end goal. With respect to, again, this is a 2 or 3 year property, and then after that, we're going to make it a rental property, and we're going to maybe pull equity, go on to the next place. Again, we want to be as efficient as possible and as strategic as possible for making that next leap, because so many buyers, and I know you've got this experience as well. They love Victoria, they love holding Victoria real estate, and they want to make the next move, whether it's a move up. Maybe they do sell and keep it to one property. That's fantastic. Or they look to hold it as an investment and keep going. So yeah, it's just, again, I get so much satisfaction out of people understanding what they're getting into, and again, I enjoy the referral piece as well. It's a huge benefit that if so and so sent me your way and I've got to do it this, and absolutely let's get on it and get going. It's great city, and that's why Victoria is such an amazing market for sure.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
Now, what are you seeing right now in the first-time home buyer segment? Because I must say the last few months, I haven't had a lot of appointments with first-time home buyers, typically, working with quite a few at once. But this year, is it the rates that I'm not seeing a lot of people wanting to get into the market? This year, I'm working with a lot of clients who are, moving up in the market or just selling and moving away type of thing. But yeah, the first-time home buyer market, for me at least, I'm seeing it's not really happening.
Yeah, and there's definitely a first-time home buyer market, but it's way different than 10 years ago. When you and I were working there. insofar as it used to be a single income, they'd qualify to get an entry-level condo, and away they went. Now that first-time homebuyer market for me is at least more mature. So there is two incomes already where there would have been one before. Instead of 5% down, maybe we're seeing some generational money come back, and it's a bigger down payment. But the biggest phenomenon by far is both in terms of where prices have gone more recently, last 5, maybe 10 years in Victoria, and then also the mortgage stress test. And that is where the government requires us on the mortgage side to qualify folks at 2%, minimum 2% above their contract rate or the rate they're actually going to pay.
Right.
And so that came in about 6-7 years ago. And we used to just simply qualify you on the rate you're paying. It had to be, if it was a 5-year fixed rate, no problem. It was usually a lower rate. And now, coupled with higher rates, coupled with that mortgage stress test, coupled with current rates at or near decade highs, certainly, that first-time home buyer is a completely different piece now.
Right.
And so they're still out there, but maybe 10 years ago where I had clients add a co-signer to qualify or to bump that affordability, I used to be maybe 1 in 10 files. 6-7 years ago when we had that introductory of the mortgage stress test, that changed to about 1 in 5 files. And now throw in higher rates and certainly higher prices, all day long, 1 in 3 files requires a co-signer. So it's not just a first-time home buyer anymore. It's the first-time home buyer, the spouse maybe, and then a parent.
Okay.
So we're pulling in the intergenerational wealth, and that comes with it usually a higher down payment.
Right.
And as I like to say to clients, if we need a co-signer, it's not forever. Ideally, it's not forever. And what I look more so at is, we need the bank of mom and dad to help us out to get in. With the thought pattern that in 3, maybe 5 years, their situation is very different. Their income is on an upward trajectory. 2 incomes, they're on their way up. By all means, they've perhaps built way more equity in the house by paying down the mortgage and some market appreciation. And then that's a perfect time to say thank you so much, mom or dad, or mom or just dad, and take them off that mortgage. It's an easy transaction and away we go. But back to your question, absolutely a different first-time home buyer market. It's difficult to get in, and we're seeing that not just in Victoria, but that's certainly the way across Canada with how our market's gone. So,
yeah. What are you seeing for out-of-town clients right now? I've noticed the last year or so, not as many out-of-town buyers flocking to Victoria. I think they're trickling a little bit, but certainly during COVID, there were a lot of people cashing out of Toronto, Vancouver, a lot of Albertans coming out,
Sure.
maybe taking an early retirement or perhaps permanently working from home and saying, well, we really want to be in Victoria. We've wanted to be there forever. Now that we're working from home, maybe now's the time. So we're seeing a lot of people coming to Victoria. I haven't seen a lot of those people the last while. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's, certainly our province borders are wide open, right? We can go wherever we want in Canada. But I think in BC at least, certainly trying to control house prices or control a narrative around house prices, the government's made that more difficult, right? What is a foreign home buyer now? What qualifies to a speculation tax or a empty homes tax? There's so many different tax pieces that a lot of people coming from different provinces and certainly different countries just don't understand, or the cost to get in is kind of prohibitive.
Right.
And I understand and I appreciate the notion around the tax. But I really believe it's more of we're not building enough on the houses side of things. So I still see some of those people coming from other provinces. Now, interestingly enough, they're coming from other provinces. Maybe they've sold the clear title house for $500,000 in Winnipeg or, I don't know, Saskatchewan, something like that. And they come to Victoria because they want to be here for the weather, for the lifestyle. And they're faced with the notion of either renting and contributing to someone else's mortgage, or carrying a mortgage where perhaps they haven't had a mortgage in years because they're retired or something along those lines. And the thing that's interesting is it doesn't stop them. They'll come, they'll bring their cash and they sell. They'll take on that mortgage because they'd rather be paying down a mortgage versus paying rent. So not as many during COVID. I think, again, as you said, a lot of people cashed out and wanted to get out, and perhaps it was the idea of, gosh, if this is going to be reality for the foreseeable future, and we didn't know that in the early days of COVID, but thankfully we returned back to a degree of normalcy, that they wanted to take the bull by the horns and take advantage of that lifestyle. So yeah, it's been very interesting to watch. So
yeah, very. I mean, I'm sure maybe rates are playing into the lack of people moving here. I mean, I don't really have the stats at this point. I'm just kind of talking about what I'm seeing out there in the market, but I guess perhaps people have already made their move out and are all settled in now, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, interesting. So the market today, we're in the spring market of 2023. I know you've been busy. I know I've been busy. What is the sort of is there a general buyer sentiment or even a seller sentiment? Are they? This isn't the frenzied market that we've had the last couple of years, but it's still a fairly progressive market. What does that look like from a buyer and a seller standpoint?
The name of the game right now is really low supply. So we're not seeing the inventory that we typically see in our spring market. We're at historically low levels. There's not a lot of good product right now as well. We're finding a lot of buyers are seeing what's on their search and they're not really excited about what's available and what's popping up. Now, we were hoping that the inventory was gonna pick up after Labor Day, and it didn't. And we were hoping it was going to pick up after Easter, and it didn't. And then we just had our long weekend, still low inventory. So I'm finding a lot of people just are wondering when it's going to come or if it's going to come because there's not a lot of good stuff out there. What I'm seeing right now is if a listing pops up for sale, it's priced well, it's in a good area or a good building, it shows really well, it's selling right away. If not, it's taking a little bit longer. A lot of our higher price listings right now are somewhat steady, but not super busy. I'm not getting a lot of showing requests from those Vancouver, Toronto buyers on my higher end listings at the moment. The entry level affordable market's quite brisk, meaning condos under 500,000 are selling in a really reasonable amount of time. Homes under $1 million are gone right away if they show well. Homes with suites under that 1.2 range in the core or certain parts of the West Shore are going really quickly. So yeah, end of the day, there's just not a lot to choose from, and so we are starting to actually see some multiple offers happening in some segments of the market, which is quite interesting to see.
I bet again.
I thought they were over.
I know, right? And again, that goes all the way back to that pre-approval piece, right? To be competitive, you have to have your ducks in a row on that side of the equation. So yeah, and for on the seller sentiment, are they stingy with their prices? Or are they being a bit more understanding because they want to get somewhere at the same time, right? If they're selling, they're likely buying again. Do they understand that psyche of the market? Because there was a time there earlier this year, maybe last part of 2022, where sellers still thought it was the brisk market.
Yeah.
Right. And then some of those listings ended up stale. So I mean, the sentiment changes.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, really what sellers are looking for is guidance from their agent. They are trusting that their agent really has a pulse on what's happening in the market, has a really good sense of what's happening in the neighborhood, in the area, on comparable listings close by. I'm finding right now sellers are really looking to hire a very experienced agent who's doing a lot of business, who knows what's happening out there, because they're really looking for direction, because I think a lot of people are very uncertain about what's happening out there and they just need some good advice. They need, like I said, someone who's out there working full time, really understanding the market and what's going on. And yeah, pricing is a little bit of a moving target right now, to be honest. A lot of sellers will go on the market and maybe expect that their listing is going to be really busy with showing activity, and maybe the agent will too, and not so much. or the opposite. Sometimes agents are going to think, yeah, one thing and it's another. So it really comes down to just what happens in the market that week, maybe what the news headlines are doing
Yes.
that week, to
Yes.
be honest. It's bizarre sometimes. Yeah, well, I'll have a listing on the market for 60 days. The news headlines will come out for the week, and it's a good week in real estate, and I'll get multiple offers on my listing that's been up for 2 months. It's like, what's happening?
Yeah.
It just, there's no rhyme or reason sometimes, but at the end of the day, the market will tell you how you're positioned in terms of
Yes.
price. As soon as the feedback comes in from showings, from the agent and the buyers, it's a really good opportunity to have that conversation with your client and say, this is the feedback we've received. Maybe we do need to tweak the price in a few weeks if we don't have any bites, but it's a go with the flow type of market I'm finding.
Yeah. And to your point, it's so important to have the right advice, especially in the market that we're in, right? I mean, coming out of COVID, into higher interest rates, clients, we've enjoyed, at least in Canada, a sort of set it and forget it idea. 5-year fixed rate, away we go, and we're done. I can't get behind locking people in at 5% or over 5% for the next 5 years. While I don't think it's going to be an overnight change as far as interest rates go, I do think they're going to come back down to earth, maybe sit in around a decade average, which is closer to 3.59 in about 2 years, maybe 24 months, 30 months, that kind of thing. So it's tough for me to get behind and saying 5 years, set it and forget it when we're in the market that we're in, because again, life is variable. So their lives are always changing. And to that guidance piece, it's almost like that kind of thing where we went through some briskness, everything was doing well, and now there's some cloudy skies, and it's almost like it's those times where we go back to our parents, go, okay, you tuck in our tail and go, have you been through this before, or this kind of thing? And that's where the guidance of someone on a full-time basis that's been a veteran, we'll say, is so important, right? And just an air of calm, because as you touched on, the media likes to throw out, it's a good market, it's a bad market, it's an up market. And you can go to 3 different media spots that are going to say fantastic, and there's going to be 6 that are going to be terrible. And they're going to reverse the form the following week. So to get a good ground level expertise is so very important.
And then touching back on guidance too, with the multiple offer climate that we're now in again, it's a very strategic process, and you're going to want to find the right realtor who can stick handle negotiations in a multiple offer, because you would be surprised the number of times I have a listing for sale and it goes into a multiple offer, and the agent sending in the offers will simply just send me in the offers. They won't call me. I don't know anything about their clients. I don't know if they're from Victoria or if they've sold already. I don't know if they've been pre-approved for a mortgage.
Sure.
Like, I literally don't know anything about the buyers. So I'm sitting in front of my sellers with a couple offers going, I don't know about these guys. Like, I don't really know this agent. They didn't even call me. So, I mean, if I were a buyer and I learned that my agent sent in an offer without even phoning the listing agent, I'd be pretty annoyed, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're working with a buyer, you're trying to get them into that property, you're trying to sell them to the listing agent and the sellers, and guaranteed the sellers are going to want to know about who the buyers are, right? They're curious, like, especially if the home is sentimental, if they've been there for many years. Me as a seller, I would love to know who the buyer was. Are they a family? Are they, like, who are they? What do they love about my home? Have they been pre-approved for a mortgage? Like, what does their financing look like? And so it's huge in a multiple offer situation to really represent your buyer to the best of your ability, and to call the listing agent, write a letter about your buyers.
Absolutely.
We're in that market again. And, even though not every single listing is going into a multiple offer, we need to get back into that strategy, because that's what's going to get our clients into a home. And I think agents need to remember, like, That
Yeah, I mean, Victoria is just that market, right? Whether it's a sentimental handoff or, a lot of sellers are proud of the customizations they've done to their particular property and, they want to see people enjoy the customizations or something like that. But it's almost like, imagine what you're describing. It'd be like going in for a job that you don't know who the employer is. You don't know the job title or the description or what the qualifications are and just sort of showing up going, I'm here to apply. Well, where's your resume? What do you bring to the table?
sure.
All those things, I can't imagine. And I don't think anybody would show up to apply for a job without all those pieces. So why would they show up without all that key information?
Absolutely. And what's big as well is if you already have a good relationship with the other agent, you've worked together before, or you've met them a few times, you know how they work, you know what kind of clients that they work with. Why would you not, form that relationship with the other agent and say, hey, here's an offer. We know we're competing in a multiple offer situation, but please review our letter. This is all about us. This is what we're about. This is why we love your home. If we're close with the other offer, call us, because hey, we might be willing to tweak our offer, whether it's the price, the dates, the conditions. You'd be surprised how many agents don't, make that phone call.
Sure.
And put it out there, because a lot of the times, if you do have an agent call you as a listing agent and indicate that, if you're sitting in front of your clients with two offers and they're close, and one agent has said, hey, please phone us if we're close with the other offer, but the other agent hasn't said anything, they've just sent you an email, we're probably going to call these guys and see if we can tweak their offer to make it work a little bit more. So
they're not the winning applicant for the job, right?
Rocket science.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. There's so many aspects to it. Again, it's such again, we're not dealing with widgets. We're dealing with houses and lives and so many things, right? And a lot of times, by the time we're getting to the offer type side of things, people love that place.
Oh yeah.
Right, and we saw that in post-COVID, where things were so frenzied, people were falling in love on a weekly basis, only to have their heart broken over and over again. Right, so
it's like if I'm working with a family who have kids and a dog and they're lovely, and we've gone out and seen 40 homes, there is no shadow of a doubt I am doing everything I can to get them into the house that we're writing on. Like,
yeah, you take on that weight from the family, right?
Yeah, it's like you get so invested in your client's search. You want the best for them. You want to get them in that place. Like, I'm making that phone call.
Yeah.
And so I find that's huge in any market, but particularly in a super competitive, tight market that we're in right now.
And so shifting gears a little bit, another left field question for you. Technology, how has that changed you on the real estate side? I just know from seeing so much of your online presence on Instagram, it's gone to another level. But maybe take me back to 5 years or something and tell me, the game has changed, right? You've got a whole, arguably a global audience now just because of social media. How does that work on your side, and what have you seen change?
Yeah. Well, COVID played a big role in, I think, accelerating how we were doing our business in terms of online.
Agreed.
So when the world shut down early 2020, so did the real estate market. We couldn't meet clients in person. We were scared to. It was kind of the real estate industry hinted that we shouldn't actually be meeting people unless they really had to buy or sell. So for a few weeks, real estate basically shut down, and we sat back and thought, well, how can we still run our business from a bit of a distance? And with that, we really started to focus more on video, virtual tours, really great quality photos, the whole 9 yards, so that people could basically view our property from the comfort of their own home, whether they were in Victoria or out of town. And so I think that really helped us elevate the technology side of business to the next level. So yeah, really the last 3 years, we've really implemented a lot more video, and it's been fun too. I
Yeah.
would really enjoy that aspect of the business and our marketing. And I know that a lot of our clients have noticed that as well, that we've taken things to the next level. And yeah, we do get calls and all that from our social media and our online presence. So I
Amazing.
think, yeah, the bar has been raised. There's a lot of people who are now doing all those extra activities, which is great. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
the fun
it's
part of the business.
been interesting to see. It used to be a selection of pictures, and then you'd want to go see the property because maybe the pictures didn't represent it quite as well. And then I know you had the 3D tour, which is kind of funky, but how do you really get a grasp of it? And now it's the full-on video. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's not the same thing on the mortgage side of things. COVID was a massive game changer when we're dealing with a lot of our lenders who traditionally are dinosaurs when it comes to embracing technology or technological change. We went from having, having to sign with a wet signature, which is an actual in-person signature, to electronic signatures were okay on the mortgage side. After being told for, honestly, years, because I know real estate uses it for a long time, it'll never be used on the mortgage side, till all of a sudden the switch is flipped, and now a digital signature. So, and that has accelerated the pre-approval side of things. A lot of times I'm not even gathering documents. It's all PDFs and digital, and allows us to be far faster on your approvals, far faster on seeing the property from a lender's perspective. And it's just it's definitely turned it on its head, right? So tough. We're not really we don't really embrace too much video on the mortgage side. We're not showing you documents, but.
Yeah.
But absolutely on the marketing side, it's something that's come far more to the forefront than it's ever been. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's been such a welcome, great change. Just being able to, send a client a document for review digitally. They can review on their own computer and sign on their email whenever they have a chance. I can work with clients all across Canada.
Absolutely.
We can do a Zoom. I can explain paperwork to them over the phone or on video chat. And yeah, it's helped our business tremendously.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, people nowadays are so busy. No one has time to drive 20 minutes to sit with you in an office just to do a quick signature. People, I think, really appreciate the digital world that we're in now.
Yeah, and expedites the process. No two ways about it, right? And I'm almost ecstatic to meet with somebody and sit down and talk about mortgages, right? Oh, thanks for coming in, right? But at the same time, the Zoom is, it's 20 minutes here to understand the sort of the baseline of what we're dealing with, and then we're connecting again to go over the mortgage offers, and then of course through the signing process. So it's super efficient. Jump on a quick call, away we go, and they can sit there whether they're on their phone, direct doing it that way, or they're at a desktop a laptop at the worst, right? Yeah. So. Or their iPads and going that way. So it's very exciting to see what the future holds on the technological side for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to watch.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Awesome.
Well, yeah, I think that was a great chat. I hope you enjoyed our first video. I know I did. Maybe we should do some more of them.
Well, there's always something. If real estate, there's always something to talk about, right? I mean, we've got we're still out there on the Bank of Canada stuff that's coming up. We've got the United States, which is our larger cousin that drives our economy, and the I word, and I don't mean iPad, I don't mean iPhone, inflation, right? So wanting to slay that beast, and I think that will of course we're going to connect on all these things because again the market keeps rolling along. So thanks again, Danielle, for the opportunity. It's been amazing to connect.
Great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to the next one.
Until next time, right? Absolutely. Thanks, Danielle.